a quiet city, a symbol no one could explain, and a killer who followed the stars instead of the law. The Zodiac Killer didn't want to hide, he wanted to be understood. And by the time the truth was revealed, it was already too late. Stay until the end, because the final twist changes everything. Harbor Bay was a kind of city people forgot existed. Tucked between quiet highways and gray water, it lived outside urgency. Nothing dramatic ever happened there. Crime reports were small and predictable. Lost wallets, broken windows, noise complaints that never went anywhere. On October 14th, that illusion ended. Just after midnight, a passing fisherman noticed a car parked near Lighthouse Road, its engine cold, its headlights still on. At first, it looked like a couple enjoying the view. But when police arrived, the truth was impossible to ignore. Inside the vehicle were two young people, both lifeless, frozen in unnatural silence. There were no visible signs of struggle, no shattered glass, no weapon left behind. It was as if death had arrived quietly and stayed. Then an officer noticed the window. Drawn into the fogged glass was a strange mark, a circle broken at the top, crossed through the center by a straight line. It wasn't random. The lines were clean, deliberate, almost careful. No one recognized the symbol. The city woke up to flashing headlines and unanswered questions. Police reassured the public, calling it an isolated incident. But fear has a way of ignoring official statements. 2 days later, the fear became real. Every major newspaper in the city received an envelope with no return address. Inside each one was a single page, written in uneven black ink. "I'm not angry. I'm not insane. I'm chosen." Below the message was the same symbol found on the car window. The letters weren't threatening. That was the most disturbing part. The words felt calm, confident, as if the writer wasn't hiding but announcing himself. The press named him the Zodiac Killer, inspired by the symbols and his obsession with signs no one could understand. Police scrambled to trace the letters. The paper came from different stores, the ink was common, no fingerprints, no DNA. It was as if the sender wanted to be seen, but never touched. That night, people locked their doors for the first time in years. Parents checked windows twice. Radio stayed on after midnight. Somewhere in Harbor Bay, someone was watching the city change. And written across the foggy glass of a forgotten car, the first message remained clear. This was only the beginning. After the first letter, Harbor Bay stopped sleeping. Police patrols doubled overnight. Streetlights stayed on longer. Yet fear didn't fade, it sharpened. Every mailbox became suspicious. Every envelope felt heavier than it should. Then the second letter arrived. This one was sent to the police station directly. No return address, no fingerprints. Inside was a single sheet, folded perfectly into thirds. Written in dark blue ink were only 5 words. "The stars never lie." Beneath the message was a block of strange symbols, circles, triangles, slashes, and numbers arranged in tight rows. It looked like nonsense at first, but something about it felt intentional, almost mathematical. Within days, more letters appeared. Some were mailed to radio stations, others to television networks. One even arrived at a local elementary school, addressed simply to those who watch. Each letter was different, yet connected. Different handwriting, different pens, different paper. It was as if the sender wanted investigators chasing multiple people at once. That was when Detective Ethan Cole took a closer look. Cole had spent years studying cold cases, the kind where answers hid inside overlooked details. He noticed that the symbols followed a pattern, not in language, but in space. When laid out on a board, the codes formed shapes that resembled star charts. He tested the theory quietly. When he overlaid the symbols with astronomical maps, the alignment was exact. Each message pointed to a constellation visible on the night of the first murders. The realization chilled him. The killer wasn't writing for attention alone. He was following a system older than the city itself, one written in the sky. Then came the third letter. It described the murder scene in detail. The position of the bodies, the way the car was angled. even the fog thickness that night. None of that information had been released. The room went silent when Cole read it aloud. Someone outside the investigation shouldn't have known those things. That meant the Zodiac Killer was either incredibly close or already inside their circle. The letter ended with a warning. You look up for answers. I look down at you. From that moment on, the case changed. This was no longer a hunt for a violent stranger. It was a game of intelligence, patience, and shadows, one where every letter was a move and every mistake could cost another life. The pressure on Harbor Bay reached a breaking point. With every new letter, public trust in the police weakened. News anchors demanded arrests. City officials wanted answers. Fear was no longer quiet. It was angry. Then, finally, police announced they had a suspect. His name was Martin Hale. Hale was a high school science teacher who lived alone near the edge of town. A quiet man, no criminal record. But during a routine search, officers found star charts, astronomy books filled with handwritten notes, and pages of strange symbols hidden in his basement. To the public, it looked perfect. The media moved fast. Cameras crowded the courthouse steps. Headlines screamed, "Zodiac Killer Caught." Parents felt safe again. The city exhaled. But Detective Ethan Cole felt something was wrong. Hale's notes were chaotic. The symbols were sloppy, rushed, and inconsistent. The real Zodiac's messages were controlled, each line placed with purpose. When Cole questioned Hale, the man didn't act like a mastermind. He was confused, frightened. He kept repeating the same sentence, "I just like the stars." Still, the evidence was enough to keep Hale behind bars. For one full week, Harbor Bay believed the nightmare was over. Then the fourth letter arrived. It was delivered to the local television station during a live broadcast. The envelope was plain. Inside was a single sentence written in red ink. "You caught the mask, not the face." Attached was a photograph. It showed a body. The victim had been killed less than an hour earlier. Panic returned instantly. Police rushed to the new crime scene. The murder followed the same silent pattern. No struggle, no weapon, no witnesses. But this time, something had changed. Etched into a nearby wall was a new symbol. More complex, sharper, almost angry. It was a message. The Zodiac Killer was correcting the record. Detective Cole stood at the scene, staring at the symbol. He understood the warning. The killer wanted them to know how badly they had failed. Martin Hale was released days later, his life destroyed by suspicion. The real killer had used him as a shield. And now, the Zodiac Killer had proven something terrifying. He could kill whenever he wanted. And he was always one step ahead. After the fourth murder, the investigation was stripped down to its bones. Public pressure forced the police to stop chasing quick answers. Detective Ethan Cole was given full access to every report, every letter, and every forgotten detail from the beginning of the case. Cole stopped reading the letters as threats. He started reading them as confessions. Each message carried more than symbols. It carried memory. Dates appeared again and again, disguised as numbers inside the codes. Locations repeated in subtle ways. The Zodiac Killer wasn't just following the stars. He was pointing backward in time. Cole built a timeline stretching 15 years into the past. One detail surfaced quietly, almost accidentally. Every victim had, at some point, visited Harbor Bay Observatory. Not together, not on the same day, but all of them had signed the guest book. The observatory sat on a hill above the city, abandoned now, its dome rusted and silent. Once, it had been the pride of Harbor Bay. School trips, public lectures, charity events. It was where the city looked up and dreamed, until the accident. 15 years earlier, during a private night tour, a young intern was killed when a heavy telescope mount collapsed. Officials called it a tragic malfunction. The investigation ended quickly. No charges were filed. The city moved on, but someone hadn't. Cole pulled old records. Maintenance reports were missing. Safety warnings had been ignored. The people responsible had signed their names, and those names matched the victims. They weren't random targets. They were decision makers. The Zodiac Killer was delivering delayed justice. Then, Cole noticed something chilling. The constellations linked to each murder matched the intern's birth chart. Every killing was timed to a star alignment that mattered only to someone who knew him personally. This wasn't madness. It was mourning, sharpened into violence. The letters stopped mocking the police. They started sounding tired. One final message arrived. Shorter than the rest, balance is almost restored. Cole understood what that meant. There was one name left on the list, and time was running out. The final letter arrived without warning. No stamp. No return address. No attempt to hide. It was placed carefully at the front desk of the police station, directly beneath a security camera. Almost as if the sender wanted to prove one thing: he was no longer afraid of being seen. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper. One star remains. Look where it all began. Detective Ethan Cole read the message once. Then again. He didn't need a symbol this time. The meaning was clear. The Harbor Bay Observatory. Just after midnight, police surrounded the hill leading up to the abandoned building. Fog rolled slowly across the ground, while above it, the sky was perfectly clear. Stars burned brightly, cold and distant, as if watching. The observatory dome stood open, waiting. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and silence. The massive telescope pointed toward the sky, frozen in place like a monument to unfinished answers. Then Cole saw him. A man stood calmly beneath the telescope, hands folded behind his back. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He was Dr. Leonard Voss, former director of the observatory, respected scientist, and the man who signed the final report after the intern's death. "My son believed the stars created balance," Voss said quietly. "When that balance was broken, someone had to restore it." He spoke of the accident like it was yesterday. The ignored warnings, the rushed decisions, the signatures that buried the truth. The city moved on. He never did. As police moved closer, Voss smiled, not with anger, but with peace. "You think this ends here," he said. Suddenly, a hidden mechanism clicked beneath the telescope. The floor opened. By the time officers reached the lower chamber, it was empty. A tunnel led away into darkness. Dr. Leonard Voss was never found. The case was officially closed. The Zodiac Killer was listed as missing, presumed dead. But some nights, when the sky is clear, people say the observatory lights turn on by themselves. And if you look closely at the glass, you might see a symbol. Still watching, still waiting. The Zodiac Killer was never officially caught. No body, no trial, no confession, just silence. Harbor Bay returned to normal. Streets filled again, doors unlocked. Life moved on, as it always does. But some truths don't disappear. They wait. The murders were called justice by some, revenge by others. But the stars don't choose sides, they only watch. And maybe that's the most frightening part. Because the Zodiac Killer wasn't born in darkness, he was created by ignored warnings, by buried reports, by a city that chose reputation over responsibility. When guilt goes unanswered, it doesn't fade, it transforms. The observatory still stands on the hill, quiet and abandoned, a place once meant to help people look up, now reminding them to look back. And on clear nights, when the sky is full of stars, people in Harbor Bay swear they feel watched, not by a killer, but by the truth they tried to forget. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to be remembered forever.